Millions of people all over the world dream of space exploration and being an astronaut. But did you know there's a gross side to the job too? Here are my top 4 grossest things about space. Let's start off before we even get to space on the launch pad. The first thing astronauts have to put on before their spacesuits is a maximum absorbency garment. And you should all know what one is because we've all worn one before. It's basically a scientific word for a nappy. So the first thing astronauts have to put on is a nappy. And they wear them for launch, landing and spacewalks, EVAs, because spacewalks can last up to 8 hours. And it's not like you can just pop back into the ISS to use the toilet. Speaking of bodily functions, up next is what happens to astronauts' wee when they can use a space toilet. The wee isn't jetted off out into space, but it's recycled so they can drink it. It's not just your wee that's recycled, it's your sweat and the moisture from your breath too. And not just your own either, it's all of your fellow astronauts' excess water too. You can't carry all of the water you'd need to survive months in space with you, so they make the most of what they've got. It's actually cleaner than what most people drink on Earth. Now on to another bodily function, but the other end this time, burps. You can't actually burp in space. Well, you could, but it'd be a bit of a wet one. I'm going to need a prop for this one. So here is your stomach. Now on Earth, because we have gravity, the stuff in our stomachs gets separated into gases, liquids and solids. So the gases rise to the top, the liquids kind of hang about in the middle, and the solids sink to the bottom. Now that's great for burping on Earth, all the gases rise to the top, and we can burp quite easily. But in space, in microgravity, there's really nothing that separates them. So it all gets churned around, and if you open your mouth to burp, you probably get a little bit of everything. So you're best to keep your mouth closed. Last, but definitely not least, is feet. In space, you don't use your feet like you would on Earth. You don't need to do any walking around. You float around in microgravity. So you don't need the hard skin on the bottom of your feet. So after around 2 months in space, it'll start to flake off. So when they take their socks off, all of that dead skin will come off and start floating around. So you're better off taking your socks off near a vent and keeping your mouth closed. In fact, you're better off keeping your mouth closed for the majority of these things. You'd actually end up getting really soft skin on the bottom of your feet. On the top of your feet, it's a bit different. You're constantly using your toes and the top of your foot to hug around things to stop you from floating away in microgravity. So all of that extra wear means you get hard, kind of crusty skin. So to me, all of that is really gross. It's just a small price to pay for getting to experience the wonders of space. But what about you? Let me know what you think is the grossest thing about space, and if you still want to go. Want to make your own stomach? Just get a plastic bottle like this one, fill it with whatever spare food stuff you can find. I use some old grapes, some gravy, that's why it's that colour, and the bits floating around, and some broken up biscuit. But you can use whatever you like. Just make sure the top's secure and careful when you shake it. And if you leave it for a while, the gases will kind of rise to the top and it will expand a little bit, so when you open the top, the gas will escape. So make sure you don't breathe in or smell it, because it is really gross. I'm not going to shake it again because it's going to and we'll get close to that. All that goodness. Yee.